Let's go, Brandon Johnson. He does not disappoint me. Anyway, podcast for days. What's he up to now? Well, the Chicago mayor creates ICE-free zones to fight Trump administration raids. What do we got going on here? We got a lot to talk about because there's a whole bunch of storylines that are happening all at once. Let's get into it. Here we go.
Today's Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson says he is taking action. Political reporter Paris Schutz joins us in studio now with the latest. Paris.
Yeah, Sylvia and Natalie, Mayor Johnson was flanked by community leaders and alders saying that this moment requires a unified response from all of Chicago. Now, the mayor, taking a page out of President Trump's playbook, signs a city executive order declaring, quote, ICE-free zones. So that means that public property cannot be used for federal agents to stage immigration raids. It also provides signage for private businesses that would also like to establish themselves as ICE-free.
When it comes to civil immigration enforcement, absent a warrant, our police department will not dub as federal ICE agents. In fact, we believe it's antithetical to driving violence down in the city of Chicago. When people call 911, we do not ask what their immigration status is, right?
What does that have to do with anything? What is that? This guy is so dumb. He is so dumb. I feel like he's reading off a flashcard all of the time. And if it's not on there, he's like, oh, it is shocking that this guy is running a state. This guy is literally running a state. All my peeps in Chicago, I feel so bad for you. None of you guys can be going, all right, yeah, we want all the criminal illegals to just be able to hang out in Illinois. It's all good with us. We're all okay with that. I don't really see that happening, right? I think Chicago has a very different viewpoint on this, the constituents of Chicago, because I think folks in Chicago are like, hey, we've been left behind. We've been left out. We've been passed over for funding. We've had all kinds of crazy stuff going on. We got shootings going on. We got nonsense going on. We got high taxes. Oh, we don't want the criminal illegals within our community. And yet, let's go, Brandon Johnson is such a yes man, that this is where he ends up. Oh, we're creating an ICE-free zone. Sounds like some kind of promotion for 7-Eleven, right? I mean, it's July 11th. It's Super Slurpee Day, and we're in the ICE-free zone.
And so our police department will respond to every incident in which their services are needed to keep people safe.
Now, it's unclear what legal weight that this executive order carries. ICE
None.
federal agents have repeatedly asserted the supremacy clause of the Constitution, saying they don't have to abide by local or state rules.
No.
Federal rules supersede those things. So the mayor says he's not going to make Chicago police enforce it, but if the ICE violates this order, then perhaps the law department will step in with legal action. Now, you also heard the mayor.
The police department is going to start arresting feds? I'm sorry. What? No, that's not how this game goes. It's just not. I know I'm a real estate guy. I know I have limited comprehension of public safety issues, but it's so crazy that this stuff is going on because it's all just optics. It's all just saying a bunch of stuff. It's like California and Washington suing the feds to basically state, you can't wear face masks in our communities so that they can dox ICE officers, right? We know that's the only reason they don't want them to, and yet they're going to allow Antifa to run around with masks all day long, right? Because they support the far left. They support Antifa. They do not support law enforcement. And this is one of those things where they are physically not supporting law enforcement.
Addressing the reports this weekend that the CPD chief of patrol ordered vehicles and officers not to respond to a request for help from a ICE agent. That's something that's gone viral all weekend. The mayor saying that under sanctuary laws, local police cannot assist in immigration raids. But we are going to hear from Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling on that issue that's caused a lot of controversy this week. And he's going to address the media at the top of the hour on that. A lot of moving parts here, Natalie.
So, folks, how about my next segment here? Illegal U.S.-Mexico border crossings hit lowest level in over 50 years. Weren't we told that we couldn't get the illegal crossings number down because we didn't have legislation? And we worked on that piece of crap legislation that would have just elevated the number of daily crossings. We just got rid of it. Just never, that made no sense. That was a terrible bill. And then got a new president and weird. Illegal U.S.-Mexico border crossings hit lowest level in over 50 years. Huh. That's strange. That's weird. That's crazy. Another big thing with Chicago is, all right, how much, you got what, $1 billion deficit in Chicago? $1 billion deficit, something like that? How many hundreds of millions, a quarter billion did you spend on criminal illegals that came into the community illegally? Feeding them, housing them, not arresting them when they committed crimes, schooling them, medical stuff. And folks in Chicago that have lived there all their lives are like, we're not getting any of those hand-me-outs. Where's our stuff? And you know what? I don't blame them because their governor and their mayor are covering for the criminal illegals. Make that make sense. Oh, we're in an ice-free zone here. Oh, it's so cold. Ice-free. Crazy. President Trump posts on Truth Social that Chicago Mayor Johnson, Governor Pritzker, should be in jail. And he stated that from the standpoint of they are preventing one law enforcement entity from working with another. How does that make any sense? Like, how do you come up with that? And you know what? If this were something new, if this were Trump's special forces on the ground only going after, I don't know, refugees coming in from Somalia and he's just targeting them. If it was something weird like that, I'd be like, okay, all right. I mean, it seems a little pointed, but immigration, customs, they've been doing this work forever because no real country doesn't have borders. No real country doesn't have immigration, legal format for immigration. And Chicago and Illinois right now is trying to thwart law enforcement, federal law enforcement, from working with their local law enforcement. Make that make sense. I mean, that's what all the Antifa stuff is going on down at the federal courthouse, or at the federal ICE building. I shouldn't say courthouse. In Portland that I went down to last weekend. You got a whole bunch of people worked up that law enforcement is detaining and sometimes getting rid of. Hey, you got to go back to your own country because you're here illegally. They're deporting criminal illegals. And somehow, let's go Brandon Johnson, J.B. Pritzker, they're basically saying, oh yeah, we're gonna support those criminal illegals and we're not going to allow the feds to do their job. And this is what we're doing. We're signing an executive decree, which, as you heard even the news dude say, well, I'm not sure if that really has much legal standing, but Chicago mayor should be in jail for failing to protect ICE. Mr. Trump posted, Governor Pritzker also. Should they be in jail? I mean, is that a jailable offense? Have they broken the law? That's where things get tricky, right? But the optics are so horrific. And even to all the folks that I know that I've dealt with in Chicago, including Chicago police, you guys sent me a great t-shirt. I wear it in Seattle all the time. And people there do not like the police, number one. But when it's coming from Chicago, they're like, what's the white guy doing? What's the old man doing with Chicago? Because it's got the cool thin blue line on it. It's epic shirt. It's an epic shirt. Thank you for sending that. And I do wear it all the time, mainly because I think it's pretty funny. Law enforcement from Chicago in Seattle. It's a thing. And people don't say anything because people in Seattle are typically, they're not tough people. You just blow them over and down they go. Speaking to reporters at a rally by federal workers in downtown Chicago on Tuesday afternoon, Pritzker shrugged off the president's comments. Look, he's a coward. He says a lot of things to the camera. You know what? He took a bullet to the ear. I wouldn't say he falls in the coward category. He is not a coward. You could say a lot of things about the president, but not a coward. He likes to pretend to be a tough guy. Come and get me. I don't think JB Pritzker should be saying, come and get me, because that dude, I don't think he can outrun anybody, right? No. I mean, I think Trump would catch him. I think he'd catch him within a quarter mile. No, hands down. He's demented, literally unhinged. No, Joe Biden was demented. I wouldn't say Joe Biden was unhinged. Joe Biden was just literally losing his mind, and you guys all stood up for him and said, nothing to see here. This guy's fine. This is somebody who is so insecure that he lashes out, pretending that he can come arrest people for no reason at all. He can't. The feds aren't arresting people for no reason at all. If that were the case, we would have news story after news story after news story of what that looked like. Hey, this illegal coalition of secret police officers that's going after the criminal illegals from Somalia only. Here's who they arrested today that was wildly unlawful. We're not seeing that, are we? Well, they got Jose Gonzalez, whatever his third name is, and he is being deported back to Mexico. He has committed this, and this crime with this, and this outstanding. We're going to move him back to Mexico. And you're like, okay, all right, that makes sense. It makes sense. So Pritzker goes on to say he can't deport people for no reason. That's not what's going on. And you guys in Chicago and in Illinois are creating just terrible optics for yourself from the standpoint of you're not helping your own people. You're actually helping criminal illegals from another country with your own people's tax resources. Weird. He isn't going to do it. Trump always chickens out. He said taco. Trump always chickens out. About what? When has Trump chickened out? This president is unstable, unhinged, double-minded individual that quite frankly is a threat to our democracy. I hear that all the time. How? He's going after the criminal illegals? That is threat to democracy? Okay. All right. Still working on that. And it's certainly not just the first time Donald Trump has called for the arresting of a black man unjustly. It's not unjustly. He's not having local law enforcement work with federal law enforcement on criminal illegals that are here illegally. So there's that. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay firm as the mayor of this amazing city. We're going to defend all of Chicago. All right. Okay. All right. Approximately 200 Texas National Guard troops landed in the Chicago area on Tuesday. So it was interesting. Governor Kevin Stitt of Oklahoma said he didn't necessarily approve of Texas and Governor Greg Abbott of Texas, sending the 200 troops in. He was more like, hey, if they ask for the help, great, send it, but don't just send them in because you're poking the bear. But Trump probably called up Greg Abbott and said, yo, Greg, I need you to send 200 of your finest. Can you do it? And Greg said, yeah. And that's where we sit, right? So National Guard has also been deployed for at least 60 days to protect federal agents, facilities in the Chicago area. and they're probably going to be deployed to Portland as well. And so moving, we're just going to keep going here. For Trump, the enemy from within keeps getting bigger. As President Trump looks to deploy the military on the streets of American cities, he is lashing out at political foes. Well, maybe they deserve lashing out. Chicago mayor to unveil budget that addresses Trump funding cuts. What's so interesting is that all of these governors who are running these massive deficits due to overspending, they're trying to pin it on Trump and his cuts to the budget and then also his tariffs. He got 35 years of Democratic control here in my state of Washington. We just had the biggest tax bill ever put through. $12 billion, $9.2 billion of new taxes. And we're going to blame Trump. That's deranged. That is literally the insanity that comes from living in a blue city. Meanwhile, back in reality, Oklahoma and ICE. Notice that the state and ICE, they work together. They're working together. And what are they doing? They're nabbing 125 illegal alien truck drivers who some of them were given out driver's licenses that looked like this. Done a full podcast on this. You can see that there. It's on this channel. No name given. Senor, what is your name? No name. No name, senor. No name. And so then he puts it down, no name, on his New York State commercial driver's license. And then you have the dude from Florida who's driving down a 75-mile-an-hour highway, trying to do a U-turn with his 18-wheeler, and a bunch of people drive into his truck and get killed. Yeah, we've covered that here too as well. So there's that. And Washington State handed that dude out his commercial driver's license. So in Oklahoma authorities and Immigration and Customs Enforcement have uncovered a new twist to the illegal alien truck driving scandal. Under Operation Guardian, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, State Highway Patrol, right? In partnership, working together. Take note, J.B. Pritzker. Take note, let's go Brandon Johnson. Working together with ICE, encountered numerous commercial truck drivers operating with licenses issued by sanctuary states, my state, Washington, genius, excellent, shenanigans for days, including one individual whose New York commercial driver's license identified individuals as no name given. Authorities arrested 125 illegals from multiple countries, including India, Uzbekistan, China, Russia, Georgia, Turkey, Tajikistan, Ukraine, and Mauritania, whatever that last one is. I always want to call it marijuana. It's not. Mauritania? I don't even know. Don't care. New York wants to hand out CDLs to illegal immigrants with no name given. That's on them. No, it was Washington State, I believe, right? Oh, no. The dude who caused the big wreck, Washington State. Moment they cross into Oklahoma, they answer to our laws. Oklahoma Highway Patrol performed an enforcement action along I-40 and apprehended 125 illegal immigrants. This is keeping Oklahomans safe. Look at the optic differences between Oklahoma and Chicago, Illinois. It's spectacular. You've got leadership that understands what actual public safety looks like. And then you've got leadership that wants to babble about some virtue signaling nonsense that actually endangers their own community. You got a bunch of people running around that have committed crimes that are here illegally. Then they need to go. Plus, all you're doing is you're forcing your own constituents to pay for these people because tax dollars are what's used to house them, feed them, kids, school, all that stuff, all that nonsense. And then most recently, this is what I'll finish out with. President Trump holds roundtable with conservative influencers on Antifa. It's all tied together, right? Because Portland and Governor Kotex in Oregon, they're balking at having ICE agents sent there because they're saying there's nothing going on here. There's nothing happening here. And yet, look at this. Check this out.
I was in Portland yesterday and had the chance to visit with the governor of Oregon and also the mayor. They're in town, and they are absolutely covering up the terrorism that is hitting their streets.
Continuing our team coverage now, tonight, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem claims state and city leaders
Pam Bondi?
are covering up terrorism. This comes after her visit to Portland yesterday. Her new comments made just hours ago at a roundtable on Antifa, featuring Trump administration officials and conservative influencers. Now, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the federal government will deploy the full might of the feds to crack down on Antifa and other domestic terrorist organizations.
K2's Vasily Varlamov joins us from the live desk. So, Vasily, what else was said at that roundtable?
ICE facility last week, but did not end up being charged.
Katie Davis Court.
Police, city, and state officials.
See how her black eye is doing. Yeah. Whacked in the head with a flagpole. Brutal. So we had Katie Davis Court there. We had Jonathan Cho there. We had Brandy Cruz. We had Nick Sorter. We had David Medina, however you pronounce that name. Kind of a who's who of who's been assaulted by Antifa in Portland or Seattle, right? And Cam Higbee as well. I think he was there. Let's keep going here. I want to play this little clip. This clip starts off with independent Seattle journalists thank Trump for declaring Antifa as a domestic terror organization. Brandy Cruz in the center here, Seattle's own Brandy Cruz, along with Andy No. And I get the Andy No newsletter. I follow Andy No. I've read his books. I mean, that guy he literally has given a piece of his life, like bruising of his brain, to cover Antifa. And he had the whole milkshake incident. I mean, he got rocked as much as anybody. And he's still willing to cover what this domestic terrorist group is doing. Here's Brandy Cruz with just a little bit.
Because some of us have been covering Antifa for 15 years and have never had anyone in a position of authority even acknowledge their existence. And I'll also tell you that I think that had you not done, the single most powerful thing you've done to deal with this scourge has been acknowledging that Antifa is a real thing. I genuinely believe there would be people at these tables who would be dead today and would have been killed in Portland had you not called them a terror organization and said, we're going to bring the full weight of the federal government to bear. I talked to Katie Davis Court in Portland the other day. She'd been assaulted all summer. And she said the same thing. They didn't seem quick to violence as soon as you made that designation. So they're thinking in their heads, they're worried. There's been 24 or so arrested in Portland. They don't want to go to federal prison. There's this video of them, one of them who was in the face of an ICE agent, and then he's in custody shaking. Once you take the mask off.
Have you guys seen that video? Like literally looked like they were freezing cold, but it was fear. It was fear because there's such Antifa is all bark, mostly no bite, but when they do bite, they might murder you or stick you in the eye, throw you in a flower bed like they did to Nick Sorter. But then when there's actual intervention by law enforcement, like an ICE official, they just absolutely cower. And when the ICE officials carry them into the Portland facility, they are screaming like little children because that's what they are. They're little children in grown-ups' bodies playing at adults. It's crazy.
They're nothing. And I was told by probably a dozen people not to tell you this. I'm going to tell it to you anyway, because it's.
She goes on to tell him that she has recovered from Trump derangement syndrome. I need to watch that whole piece. It's like an hour long. I'm glad those folks got to go there and do that. I think that's great. I think this gives more exposure to just how far and crazy things have gone on the left. I mean, this whole thing we're talking about today, not having your local law enforcement, not having any city land be willing to be set up space for ICE to do their operations. So we want you to not come into our community and not take out the criminal illegals, people that shouldn't be here. We want you to leave them. So all these stories kind of intertwine together, but the bottom line is big blue liberal cities, big blue liberal states, they're not enforcing the law, period. They're not enforcing federal law. That to me is a huge no-no. Huge no-no. And yet they're doing it anyway based on politics. We love Antifa. We love the far left. They assault people. We love that, right? That is what they're saying. And no, we're not going to work with law and we're not going to work with ICE to get the criminals out from our communities because we love criminals. That's essentially what they're saying. We love criminals. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. Love to have you subscribe, do all that good stuff. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.